Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Speak English Fluently. I'm Adam, and joining me today is the amazing Anna.
Hi, Adam. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here and talk about something really fun today.
Absolutely, Anna. And to our listeners out there, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode.
Yes! Today, we're going to chat about how to talk about your weekend plans in English. I know, Adam, you always have some interesting plans on weekends.
That's true, Anna, and I'm looking forward to sharing them with our listeners. We'll also give you some real-life examples that you can use when speaking English naturally.
Perfect. So, if you're ready to improve your English and sound more fluent when talking about your weekends, stay tuned.
So, Anna, what are your plans for this weekend? Anything exciting?
Oh, yes, Adam. I'm thinking about going hiking with some friends. We found a new trail near the river and it looks amazing. What about you?
That sounds fun. I'm planning to visit my family. We usually have a big brunch on Saturdays. I really enjoy spending time with them.
That's so nice. Family time is always important. Do you usually plan your weekends in advance or do you decide last minute?
It depends. Sometimes I like to plan ahead, like booking tickets or making reservations, but other times I just see what feels right. How about you, Anna?
I'm kind of in between. I like to have a general idea, but I also leave some room for spontaneous plans. For example, last weekend, we just decided to go to the beach on a sunny afternoon, and it was amazing.
That's great. I love spontaneous plans too. It makes the weekend feel more relaxing. So, Anna, how do you usually tell your friends about your weekend plans in English?
Well, I often say things like, "Hey, do you want to join me for a hike this Saturday?" Or, "I'm planning to go to the movies this weekend. Do you want to come?" Simple and natural.
Exactly. You can also ask questions like, what are your plans for the weekend? Or, do you have any plans this Saturday? It's a good way to start a conversation.
Yes, and you can add details to make it more interesting. For example, I'm thinking of going to the new Italian restaurant downtown. Have you tried it yet?
Ooh, I love that example. Adding details makes your conversation sound more natural and friendly. So, listeners, don't be afraid to share your weekend plans and ask questions back. That's the key to a real English conversation.
Absolutely. And remember, you can talk about anything: movies, sports, trips, or even relaxing at home. The important thing is to practice speaking naturally.
So, Anna, last weekend you mentioned you went hiking. Can you tell us more about it? I think our listeners would love to hear a real example.
Of course, Adam. We started early in the morning, around 8 a.m. The weather was perfect, sunny, but not too hot. We brought sandwiches, water, and even a little picnic blanket to rest on.
That sounds amazing. I can almost imagine it. Did you take photos too?
Yes, I took so many pictures of the river and the mountains. It's a great way to remember the weekend. And I also shared some with my friends, saying, "Look at this view. Isn't it beautiful?"
That's a very natural way to talk about your weekend plans. You can also say things like, I had such a great time hiking, or it was really relaxing to spend the day outdoors. Simple phrases like that make your English sound fluent.
Exactly. And you can even describe feelings. For example, "I felt so refreshed after the hike," or "I really enjoyed being with my friends." Adding emotions makes your conversation more real.
I agree, Anna. So let's give our listeners another example. Imagine that you stayed home instead of going out. How would you talk about that in English?
Hmm. I could say something like, I had a quiet weekend at home. I watched some movies and cooked a new recipe. Or I just relaxed and read a book. It was really peaceful.
Perfect. And don't forget, you can ask questions back to make it a real conversation. For example, what did you do last weekend? Or did you do anything fun?
Yes, Adam. And you can also make suggestions for the next weekend. Like, next weekend, I'm thinking about going to the park. Would you like to join me?
Exactly. That's a very natural way to keep the conversation going. And remember, listeners, you don't have to use complicated words. Simple and clear sentences are the best.
Absolutely. And don't worry if you make mistakes. The more you practice talking about your weekend plans, the more confident you'll become.
That's right, Anna. So, whether it's going out, staying home, or doing something spontaneous, talking about your weekend is a great way to practice English naturally. Anna, let's talk about invitations. How do you usually invite your friends to join your weekend plans?
Well, Adam, I usually say something like, Hey, do you want to come with me to the park this Saturday? Or, I'm going to a new cafe. Would you like to join me?
That's great, Anna. And you can also make it more casual by saying, I'm thinking of going to the beach this weekend. Do you want to come along?
Yes. And sometimes I ask, What are you doing this weekend? And if they don't have plans, I suggest something. For example, if you're free, we could watch a movie together.
Exactly, Anna. Asking first is always polite. And if someone accepts, you can add details like the time and place. For example, let's meet at 10 a.m. in front of the cinema.
Right. And if someone can't join, you can say, No worries, maybe next time. That keeps the conversation friendly.
I love that, Anna. So, for our listeners, it's really important to practice these small dialogues. You can even try them with a friend or record yourself.
Yes, and don't forget, you can talk about different types of plans. For example, going to a concert, visiting a museum, having a picnic, or just relaxing at home.
Absolutely. And here's a tip. When you invite someone, you can make it sound more interesting by adding details. For example, I'm going to the new art exhibition downtown. The paintings are amazing. Would you like to come?
Oh, yes, that makes it more exciting. And you can also share your feelings, like, I'm really looking forward to it, or I'm so excited about this weekend. It makes your English sound natural and friendly.
Exactly, Anna. And remember, listeners, the goal is to make your conversations real. Ask questions, share details, and show your feelings. That's the secret to sounding fluent when talking about your weekend.
Totally. So don't be afraid to practice and use these phrases in real life. The more you practice, the easier it becomes.
Hey, Anna, have you ever had a weekend that didn't go as planned, but turned out amazing anyway?
Oh, yes, Adam. Last month, I was planning to stay home and relax, but my friend called me last minute. She said, Come to the city fair. It's going to be so much fun.
That sounds exciting. So you decided to go even though it wasn't in your plan.
Exactly. And it was one of the best weekends I've had. We tried so many new foods, played games, and even won a small prize. I was so surprised and happy.
That's a perfect example of how spontaneous plans can be fun. You can tell your friends something like, I wasn't planning to go out, but I had an amazing weekend.
Yes, and you can also share your feelings. For example, I felt so excited when I won the prize, or it was such a fun and unexpected day.
I love that. And it's also a great way to start a conversation. You can ask, have you ever had a weekend that surprised you? Or what was the most fun thing you did last weekend?
Exactly. Sharing stories makes your English sound natural. And listeners, you can practice by talking about both planned and unexpected experiences.
Right, Anna. Even small details make a big difference, like saying, we had ice cream near the fountain, or we listened to live music at the park. It paints a clear picture.
Yes, and don't forget, you can also describe your feelings at different moments. For example, I was a bit tired after walking all day, but I felt so happy. Or I felt relaxed just sitting and watching the sunset.
That's perfect advice. Listeners, remember, talking about your weekend isn't just about what you did, it's also about how you felt. That's what makes your English real and interesting.
Absolutely, Adam. And if you practice sharing your experiences, both planned and surprising, you'll become more confident speaking English naturally.
Anna, before we wrap up, let's give our listeners some practical tips on how to talk about their weekend plans in English.
Absolutely, Adam. First, I'd say always start by asking a question. For example, what are you doing this weekend? Or do you have any plans for Saturday?
Yes, that's very natural. And you can also give a short, simple answer about your own plans. For example, I'm going hiking with my friends, or I'm going to visit my grandparents.
Exactly. And don't forget to add some details. For instance, I'm going hiking with my friends at Blue River Park. We'll start in the morning and bring a picnic. It makes the conversation more interesting.
Another tip, Anna, is to show your feelings. You can say, I'm really excited, or I'm looking forward to it. It helps your English sound more natural.
Yes, and you can also make suggestions or invitations. For example, if you're free, you can join me. Or would you like to come with us? This makes your conversations interactive.
And listeners, here's a small challenge for you. Try to tell a friend about your weekend using at least 3 details. For example, where you're going, what you'll do, and how you feel about it.
That's a great idea, Adam. Also, you can share a surprise or unexpected event. For example, I wasn't planning to go to the market, but I found an amazing little cafe there.
Exactly. The more you practice these examples, the easier it becomes to speak naturally. And remember, it's okay to make mistakes. Every conversation is an opportunity to improve.
Absolutely. So, listeners, don't just listen to this podcast. Try to use these phrases in your own conversations this weekend. You'll feel more confident and fluent in English.
That's right, Anna. And remember, the key is practice, sharing details, and expressing your feelings. That's how you make your English sound real and natural.
Yes, so get ready, plan your weekend, or be spontaneous, and most importantly, talk about it in English.
Well, that's all for today's episode, Anna.
Yes, Adam. We hope our listeners enjoyed learning how to talk about their weekend plans in English.
Absolutely. Remember, practice makes perfect. Don't be afraid to share your weekend plans with friends, family, or even record yourself to improve your fluency.
And if you liked this episode, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Speak English Fluently. That way, you'll never miss our future podcasts.
Exactly. And leave a comment telling us about your weekend plans or sharing any fun experiences. We love reading your messages.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend and keep speaking English confidently.
See you in the next episode of Speak English Fluently.
Bye bye.